Hello there, this is Being God's Obedient Servant channel. If you just clicked on this video and never been here before, this is a Bible study channel where we go through the Bible verse by verse, chapter by chapter. As you can tell from the picture here, the King James Version Bible is the Bible I teach from. Well, I do Bible studies from. Teach, whichever. So, as the title says, we're doing Leviticus chapter 19 today. So we're going to head and jump right on in here. But once again, if you're new to here, what we do is do a Bible study and show what the Bible says, what it means, which parts, pertain to us today and which parts don't. So let's go ahead and jump right on in here. Verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, and saying to them, Ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Now this also pertains to us today, and it's pretty self-explanatory. So, ye shall fear every man his mother and his father, and keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. So now, when it says Sabbaths, for like today, the Sabbath, the seventh day, which is Saturday, which by the law, by the rules then, it was Friday evening till Saturday evening, because when the sun went down, that's when they said the day ended. Now we have clocks, we do the midnights, and this, that, and the other. But when it talking about the plural Sabbaths, there was more days, like on this day of this month, do this, eat this, whatever, don't do this and do this. And so the only one that really pertains to us today is still the part that's in the Ten Commandments, because the Ten Commandments is a commandment, not the law. So there's a difference between the laws of the Israelites and the punishments and stuff versus statutes and commandments. So continue on, verse 4. Turn ye not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten gods. I am the Lord your God. Now this one, of course, is in the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not have any other God before me. But a lot of people thinking that even when I was younger, I thought it actually had to be a physical item that you worshipped, and really not so. The definition of it really is anything you put before God. Like if you, I guess worship parties. If you put parties before God, or you put money before God, or doing the right thing and stuff of that nature, that is your God instead of God. So, but yeah, that one still pertains today. Verse 5. And if ye offer a sacrifice of peace offerings unto the Lord, ye shall offer it at your own will. Now, of course, this is a sacrifice which is not today for Christians. So, verse 6. It shall be eaten the same day ye offer it, and on the morrow, and it ought remain until the third day. It shall be burnt in the fire. And if it be eaten at all on the third day, it is abominable, it shall not be accepted. Therefore everyone that eateth it shall bear his iniquity, because he hath profaned the hallowed thing of the Lord, and that soul shall be cut off from among his people. And when ye reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not wholly reap the corners of thy field, neither shalt thou gather the gleanings of thy harvest. And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and stranger. I am the Lord your God. Now this one pertains today, but of course most of us don't have vineyards and crops and land, and we're not farmers, or anything of that nature. But this goes along the line of also God's commandment that if you've been blessed, you're to help those that haven't been blessed. So when you have, poor people around and this, that, and the other that doesn't have land and crops like you have, you're to leave something for them. Now today we mostly do everything with money, And so this is it's a hard thing nowadays to sit there and try to focus on making money so we can live a life and help others, but also making sure money doesn't become our God. It's a very tricky thing to do. But yeah, it can be done easily. But yeah, I said this one pretty much pertains to today. So I guess in today's times, what you would do is, like, if you have been blessed with farmlands and everything else, and you take your crops and you go, um, say you go to the farmer's market or something and sell your stuff, then if you see people that you know without a shadow of a doubt are poor and needy and this, that, and the other, you kind of like, give them some freebies, I guess. You help the poor as much as you can. So let's continue on here. Verse 11. 1911, good pistol. Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another. Self-explanatory. This is also 10 Commandments. And a lot of stuff in here is going to be the 10 Commandments, and some things aren't. So, just a little spoiler alert. Verse 12. And ye shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. That's part of the 10 Commandments as well. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. Now, this is something that it should be today, but it really isn't, especially if you're an employee somewhere. You're not paid the same day you work. You're paid like the next week or every 2 weeks or once a month, stuff of that nature. So if you are a Christian and you own a business and you have employees, I don't really know what you would do there to honor God. I guess unless you have 1099 workers, you can pay them daily and turn in your paperwork because they got to pay their own taxes anyways. So anyway, said that's, if you are one of those people, talk it over with God and find out what's what. That's it's. I'm not in that area. I've never been able to have my own business, but I guess it's the same thing as when you hire somebody to clean your home or mow your grass or something. You would pay them that day. You wouldn't wait. You wouldn't be allowed to. So continue on, verse 14. Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shall fear thy God. I am the Lord. Of course, this pertains today. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. Now it said, this is judging someone's character. Just because they're mighty or have a lot doesn't mean they're to be honored, and if they're poor, it doesn't mean that you can disrespect them. So it says you shalt not respect the person. That's pretty much saying you don't disrespect the poor. Just because they're poorer than you doesn't mean that you are over them. Growing up, I had a lot of problems with this with yuppies of the day. I was born in the 70s. So I was a kid in the 80s, and yuppies was the bullies of my era. And I guess like if you ever watched the movie The Outsiders, you had the greasers and the socias, kind of like the same thing to yuppies and the poor. So they thought they were better than everyone else because they come from a family of money. And of course it's very ungodly to do that. But also they thought themselves mighty and that they should be honored and respected because they did have money, but they had very poor character. They were of wickedness. So, kind of the same thing. And I don't really know or deal with any yuppies today. That's what we used to call them. People that were well off. Upper middle class, stuff of that nature. But as I said, self-explanatory there. Continue on, verse 16. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer. among thy people. Neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. So the word talebearer, you can look it up. It means somebody that, tells secrets, gossips, stuff of that nature. So that one also pertains. So continue on. 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. That's also in the 10 Commandments as well. So, love thy neighbor. And as Jesus says, who's your neighbor? Anybody that does not live in your home. Verse 19. Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed, neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee. Now, my dad grew up saying that he was taught in church that interracial relationships was a sin. And from this, it's kind of easy to see how people can easily get confused with this. But when you look at the word diverse, that's the main thing right there. Where it's like later on in the Bible, where God commands, be with like-minded. Diverse, just, of course, it means to be like completely different, like Christians and, Satanists. You're not going to be able to coexist. So it's like, putting cattle with wolves. Something that's going to harm the cattle. Anything of that nature. So, mostly that's what it's meaning there. My dad later found out that what he was taught was wrong, because even as, the more he studied about the Bible, he learned that, he knew it, but it never clicked in his head about Moses being married to an Ethiopian. Now, of course, Moses comes from Israelites, from the seed of Abraham, and Ethiopians were and are still black people. So, as I said, my dad learned, but what he was taught was something that he lived by for most of his life. I was saying, like, this is the kind of stuff that used to be done back then, which that, that the racism was kept going. But a lot of people didn't see it as racism. They seen it as obeying God, because that's what they were taught. This is why it's very crucial that you don't just listen to what someone tells you. You read it for yourself. You find out the truth. Just don't pay attention to a talebearer, or somebody that gossips, or this, that, and the other. Find out the facts, the truth. It's very crucial. Because if not, it can cause you to easily be misled and harm other people, which it did for many years. So, let's continue on here. Verse 20. And whosoever lieth carnally with a woman that is a bondmaid, betrothed to an husband, and not at all redeemed, nor freedom given her, she shall be scourged. They shall not be put to death, because she was not free. So, this is, adultery is punishable by death in these times, in biblical times, which we're not under that law anymore. Now we can be given a chance to redeem ourselves, we'll repent, and be forgiven, and not killed right away. But a scourged is a beating of sorts, of punishment. And, of course, the man has to bring, a sacrifice, which we're fixing to get into here. But yeah, it says, because since she was not free, she belonged to somebody, which is what God says that women are. If you, like this, a woman that was, when you're betrothed That's when your father has promised, his daughter to a man they're betrothed to be married. It's already chosen ahead of time. And of course, a bondmaid is a slave woman, which, we've been through this before about in biblical times. Slavery, forced slavery is a sin, but if you sell yourself as a slave, or you make yourself a slave to somebody, or you are being punished and cast into slavery, God, there's nothing wrong with that in the eyes of God. We kind of still do that today with people being incarcerated, that they don't get to live free. So, anyways, but now we don't allow people to bond themselves to become someone's life servant no more. Some people still need that because, like I said in the Bible, God says, for those that can't do good on their own, it's better for them to find somebody that can do better for them, and they enslave themselves to them. You become their bond servant. And that would actually benefit a lot of people, that, because if you're raised in the wrong areas and stuff, and you don't have access to certain things, you're going to have a hard life. And sometimes you have a very hard life. But anyways, that's, I guess, everyone can decide stuff like that for themselves. I'm just going by what God says. So, anyways, continue on verse 21, where it said the guy's got to bring a sacrifice. So, and he shall bring his trespass offering unto the Lord, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, even a ram for a trespass offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering before the Lord, for his sin which he hath done, and the sin which he hath done shall be forgiven him. So, but also this is a woman that chose to do this, not a woman that was, forced. A woman that was, raped would not be scourged. This is a woman that chose to do this, but she wasn't free, But in some ways and stuff, they could still choose to put her to death. But it said this is, if she hasn't been, bonded to someone yet, haven't consummated the marriage, that's a totally different scenario then. So, verse 23. And when ye shall come into the land, and shall have planted all manner of trees for food, then ye shall count the fruit thereof as uncircumcised. 3 years shall it be as uncircumcised unto you. It shall not be eaten of. But in the 4th year all the fruit thereof shall be holy to praise the Lord withal. And in the 5th year shall ye eat of the fruit thereof, that it may yield unto you the increase thereof. I am the Lord your God. Now, God tells the Israelites many other things later on about tilling ground. You till it for 6 years, you let it rest a year and stuff like that, which, they don't listen to later on when they get into the land of Canaan that becomes Israel. But this falls under the same thing. We're already given, a commandment about it, where it's like, it's the fruit's worthless the first 3 years of its existence as being able to produce fruit, and then the year that it will, that's God's first. This is the teachings that you give to God first, then give to yourself. And so I've been taught this all my life too, and these are the parts where it reinforces all that. And so let's continue on verse 26. Ye shall not eat anything with the blood, neither shall ye use enchantment, nor observe times. Ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard. Now, of course, the things with enchantments and stuff, the dietary part we're talking about, eat with the blood. We are to we even drain it ourselves, but to be kosher, they they excessively drain the blood of any meat they eat. Um, but a lot of the dietary laws we're not under anymore. And this part, I don't really understand the corners of your head part. Neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard. Because it's not mandatory to have a beard, and some people are bald. So I don't really, as said, that I don't think pertains to us. I think this is a rule for the Israelites only. But, as I said, that part I'm kind of uncertain about. But as I said, I do know that you don't have to have a beard, so I would say that, that you don't really, this doesn't really pertain to us. This was a rule for the Israelites. So, verse 28. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord. So here we go. This is the part where I talk about before about tattoos being a sin. It's clearly in the Bible that even in the Old Testament times, they had tattoos. Being able to do tattoos been around for thousands of years. And so, but here's where God said, now this does pertain to us today. You're not to cut yourself, mark your body for the dead, or pretty much for any reason out there, intentionally and stuff. And this is one of the things whenever Hitler tattooed the Jews with their numbers and stuff, it was to curse them to God, because now they have marks on their body, which it was forced upon them, so it wasn't a free choice. There's the difference there. But let's continue on, verse 29. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom, and the land become full of wickedness. So this one does kind of confuse me a little bit, where it's saying that the father shouldn't prostitute his daughter unless the land, and so this one always used to confuse me because I didn't understand the word lest. But what it kind of means is it will make the land fall to whoredom, and then the land will become full of wickedness if you do these things. So to those that's ever been confused about that, that's what that means. I said it's the King James Version is Old English, so there's some words we have to learn, and because we don't use them anymore. If you hear any noises behind me and stuff, pitter patters, whatever, I got a cat rescued, and he's running around playing with things right now. So, anyways, let's continue on here. I said a lot of this is self-explanatory, and of course, verse 29, it pertains today. It's not just a rule for the Israelites, as easy as it can tell. So, verse 30. Ye shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Now, like I said before, the Sabbath part, the seventh day, we are to keep that, but the others is, those are laws and rules for the Israelites only. Verse 31. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Now, some people, my dad wouldn't even watch like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or any stuff like that, because he says it's wickedness stuff. I'm like, there's a big difference between watching something for entertainment and then seeking it. But yeah, if you know somebody says, well, I'm for Earth, I'm Wicca, stay away from them. That's the familiar spirits part. That's witchcraft, stuff of that nature. Regardless of what they say, just stay away from them. Now, if you think that you are going into Wicca, but you want to be a Christian as well or follow God, you can't be Wicca. You have to follow God, because anything else is wizardry, witchcraft, stuff of that nature. Continue on, verse 32. Thou shalt rise up before the hoary head, which is older people that are graying, getting gray hairs, this, that, and the other, people that are older and wiser. which the youth today, most of them just look at, oh, you're old, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's like these people have been around, myself included. I'm getting gray and everything now. It's like I've been through some stuff. I've seen things, I've been there, done that, bought many t-shirts, burned them, and bought more. It's like, it's we can help you have an easier, better life, but you have to heed to us instead of, the other stuff out there today that tells you not to. But just because you're older doesn't always mean you're wiser. You got to look at also, are they godly and holy as well? And continue on. And honor the face of the old man, and fear thy God, I am the Lord. Self-explanatory, and it does apply today. Verse 33. And if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him. But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and that shalt love him as thyself, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. And this pertains, of course, today. The word vex means, kind of like talk down to, talk bad against, stuff like that. Just because, like, I have, like, moving to a mountain area, you have the good old boy system bad here, and for quite some time, people didn't like me because I was an outsider, but they wanted to call themselves Christians, so they treat strangers bad. They vex them. They don't really. They're kind of raised to, but this also falls in the land. Falls under the rule of love thy neighbor. So of course this pertains today, except the part says you were strangers in the land of Egypt, but still you're supposed to be respectful and nice to neighbors, to strangers and your neighbors. So let's continue on. First, okay. Well, the other part is the one thing that always kind of bothers me when people say, you got to earn my respect. You're supposed to give respect immediately until you are disrespected, and even then you don't really disrespect in return, but those people now have to earn your respect back. But always be respectful. And so when you follow God, you learn this stuff. Verse 35. Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meter yard, in weight, or in measure. Of course, these are measurements. Just balances, just weights, and just ephah, and a just hin shall ye have. I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe all my statutes and all my judgments, and do them. I am the Lord. So, that, of course, that's the end of chapter 19. And, but I said, like, the statutes parts, these are mostly pertain today, but I said there's certain things that are just for Israelites, and there's some things that even bleed unto us as Christians, because we are grafted into the vine of the Israelites, but we are not of the Israelites. But of course, Jesus ended the parts of the Israelites' law as well. It's just they don't see Jesus as the Messiah. Which in Revelation, in New Testament, they finds out that they will say that every knee will bow to Jesus when he returns. And then the Israelites will follow a false Messiah first, and then realize that he is the false Messiah, and that's when they know that they were misled. So I'm going to go ahead and end this one here, because I'm almost at 30 minutes, and I've already done this video once before, and it was past 30 minutes, and of course the audio didn't work again when I uploaded it. So like I said before, pray for yourselves, pray for your family, pray for your friends, pray for the world, pray for this country and all other countries. We need it badly. We have a lot of people being misled, and they don't even realize that it's happening. And so, until next time, God bless, good night, and goodbye.